We all have seen how Alexander Usyk shocked the boxing world in 2021. Ukrainian boxer beat the dominant champion and made him look worse than ever. Nobody could imagine the victory of the Usyk, who was a bit thin for the heavyweight division. But he did it. How could this happen? It's time to find out. This is MMA Time. This is a technique breakdown of Alexander Usyk. In this video we will try to use the footage of the fight as accurately as possible. Otherwise, the video will simply be blocked, so we apologize for bad quality in some parts. Alexander Usyk style. There is a myth that the boxing school of the USSR is a long-lost fighting style, but this is not true. Ukrainian boxers became the heirs of this school, but what was special about this style and why does everyone miss it so much? We can say a lot of words, but it will be enough to remind you just two names – Vasily Lomachenko and Alexander Usyk. Both are mostly known for their footwork and fighting IQ. They don't use too much power in their strikes. The work is based on timing and different angles of attack. When we think about USSR boxer, we immediately recall their unusual jumping footwork and classical 1-2 combination, but Ukrainian boxers have improved and diversified these techniques. These boxers don't move just back and forth. They started using different angles. Improved USSR style is great for defense. As we all know, good boxer defends himself by using his footwork first, and after that adds body movement and basic blocking. Good footwork means avoiding every front punch. But what's interesting, this footwork works good for attacks too. Usually boxers just jump forth and back and think that's enough, but in fact, these actions are produced to transfer the weight of the body during the jump, and when landing, to transfer all the power into the fist. In other words, good applying of this school does not use brute force. It creates punching power from its footwork. We make it clear. Imagine a stone on a rope, where a hand is a rope and fist is a stone. In this style it's extremely important to be relaxed, playful and hard at the right time. This style is pretty energy draining, so Ukrainians work for their endurance much more than other boxers. This is exactly the core of Alexander Usyk's style. He is the most agile and light on his feet heavyweight fighter since the days of Muhammad Ali. But if Ali liked to use frontal or orthodox stance, Alexander is left-handed, which creates many problems for his opponents. He likes to stand up for the front hand, which, roughly speaking, turns off the left hand of orthodox fighters. Why? It's simple. Constantly holding the hand, he makes it uncomfortable for an opponent to throw the jab, and all that left is a check hook. So Usyk knows that this is the only option opponent has, so all these predictable attacks are easily counter-attacked. All of this brings us to the next distinguishing feature – angles. Alexander constantly creates angles of attack, and even if he successfully breaks through the combination, he manages to get out of the fight distance by creating an unexpected angle. After this, he continues his attack or just put pressure on opponent. With this unpredictable style of fighting, Vasily Lomachenko received the nickname "No Mass Champion" due to the fact that most of his opponents were depressed and did not believe in their victory. Therefore, when they say that Usyk managed to transfer Lomachenko's style to heavyweight, it's true. Alexander does not have any signature strike or combination. He sacrifices his boxing identity for the sake of the practical use of his arsenal. The jab is needed in order to close the opponent's view, and also it helps to measure the distance and not let the opponent hit his own jab. There is why Alexander's jab is so fast and led him to add straight left to make classical 1-2 combination. But his 1-2 is needed more to raise the opponent's block higher. And when the jab has done its job, the jab turns in a check hook. Often after the right hook he goes to right straight, which sometimes surprisingly takes the form of a hook. This combination helps him a lot, and most of his KOs has been achieved by this technique. This is the whole difficulty of adjusting to the style of the Usyk. It creates a strange rhythm, this movement and combinations. Many of them are very light, somewhat reminiscent of the sprouts of Ray Leonard's. Then the opponent expects another portion of light shots, he is shaken with a right hook or a left straight. Even with all this success, many of people criticize Usyk and Lomachenko because of low-powered attacks. Such a mobile and intelligent fighting style has one drawback. Fighters of this plan do not try to put all the power in one punch. They create strength from the biomechanics of the footwork and angles of attack. That's the reason why there is no ruthless one-punch KOs in their careers. Disadvantages of Usyk. Weak punches are not only bad for the promotion, but also in the ring. Alexander fights in the heavyweight division. His opponents can take these punches much easier. This is the reason why Usyk has no real knockout in heavyweights. His opponents refused to keep fighting or somehow made it to decision of the judges. Now his opposition knows that they can just go ahead and not be afraid of Usyk's strikes. This was done by Derek Chisora. While the gas tank was full, he was a nightmare of Usyk and used his weight advantage as well. This is another disadvantage of Alexander. Physically he is weaker than heavyweights and can be held in the clinch with one hand, while being attacked with another one. All the disadvantages of the Usyk style are in the weight he chooses, but there is one technical drawback he had even in the cruiserweight. Due to the fact that his hands are always high and he stands up for the front hand of the right, Usyk has an open body for the left hook. He missed this shot more than once, but was not shaken. However, in the heavyweight division any shot can end the fight, especially if you mix a left hook to the body and to the head. This combo can take your breath away, and this is very bad for a boxer with this kind of style. Fight against Joshua. In the history of this sport there were a few boxers who could go up in the weight class and succeed, but this is especially true for the cruiserweights trying to defeat heavyweights. Only Holyfield and now Usyk have been able to make such a great move in the cruiserweight division over the past 30 years. The reason for this is the vast difference in weight. This weight gap is bigger than between any other weight classes. Alexander has shown that technique and character can beat even a huge difference in size. The main reason of Joshua's success is that he has always been the strongest, fastest and had a better footwork than his opponents. But here he faced a fighter who could potentially become the best boxer of the decade. A phenomenal style, a footwork, a lot of fake moves and great movement. This is the basis of Usyk's fight, and that's how he defeated Joshua. Our Ukrainian version of the MMA Time channel, we analyzed this fight before it happened, and we can tell you that all the predictions were correct. Nevertheless, we were very interested in the way how Usyk would be able to implement each of his weapons in this fight. A little spoiler, he did it perfect. Let's move on the fight breakdown. The fight takes place according to the scenario that he described in the analysis. Usyk constantly moved by the left hand and changed levels with a jab, forcing Joshua to move his upper body and make him try to read opponent's footwork. Literally from the very first minute, the number of tasks that Alexander creates simply overheated the Anthony's processor. The Ukrainian moved under the arm without any problems and hit with a jab. Over time he added a fake with a turn in shoulders. After that it turned into a left straight. Anthony tried to create distance with a jab and somehow stop attacks from different angles of the Ukrainian. But the problem is that power jab only works against static targets. On the other hand, Usyk had a great ring generalship and used the bob and weave quite a bit. Such work with the body created a false sense of distance. Alexander was further than Anthony thought. Because of that, he was able to put Joshua in his range and catch with the left straight, which repeatedly shook the opponent. However, constant work on the feet, stepping behind the left leg of the opponent and the bob and weave are very exhausting, which Joshua took advantage of. He managed to take a couple of rounds. The jab has become even lighter to be transformed into a hook that can be combined with a straight right. We talked about this combination in detail in our analysis. Alexander used a weak spot in the Joshua's defense. He often got hit with punches that fly behind hand, in combination with straight punches. This resulted in repeated wobbling. But again, this style of fighting is exhausting, and Anthony decided to help the opponent by smashing right uppercuts to the body. That immediately gave effect. Alexander visually showed that the damage was tangible. This cheered up Joshua and he attacked more actively. Jabs began to find target and even some right straights, after which he entered the clinch and threw uppercuts. He already told you about this gap in Usyk style. Derek Chisora only finds success against Alex in this way. Apparently, flashbacks from his fight helped Ukrainian to gather it. After missing one uppercut, he changed his stance, leaned more to the left to protect his body with his elbow and tried to catch attempts to enter the clinch with his left straight. It worked instantly. The road to the body was closed for the British, but the change in the stance and general fatigue affect the head movement. Joshua was able to open Usyk's eyebrow, but Ukrainian survived. At the end of the fight, both began to get tired. It was more suitable for AJ. After all, his style is less energy-consuming and he should win in exchanges. But Alexander worked ahead of the curve and attacked his long combination a couple of times. These were purely animal episodes. There the Ukrainian predatorily scared away the opponent and showed that he was not tired and was not afraid of exchanges. Having given the 11th round, Usyk went to the 12th to put an end to the battle. Instead of combinations of 2 or 3 punches, he decided to use everything that was in his arsenal. Long combinations of 5-6 punches, to which AJ responded with an attempt to counterattack, but everything was missing. As a result, Alexander Usyk won by unanimous decision. We got a real boxing masterclass and the revival of faith in martial arts. Any kind of martial arts, including boxing, was created so that the one who is smaller, weaker, slower could defeat the one who is larger, stronger or faster. The essence of the technique is to nullify the physical advantage. This is the real beauty of martial arts. We are used to seeing how fighters cut a lot of weight for the sake of advantage, choose comfortable opponents for themselves, which kills the original philosophy of this craft. However, this Alexander Usyk returned the feeling of real martial arts by moving up in weight and choosing the most uncomfortable opponent for himself. He was able to prove that technique and spirit are the main components of a real champion. Friends, thank you for watching this video. We want to remind you about the situation in Ukraine, Usyk's and our home country. We support Ukraine in many ways, especially these donations. And if you also want to donate and help to stop this war, you can use the link in the description. This is the official site of the National Bank of Ukraine, and you will send money directly to the government. If you liked this video, smash subscribe, kick the like button and hit the notification bells.